attracting, doing well, attracting, but I'm having some distraction. Like things just go away, disappear. Like a wallet, like a phone, a coat, and a case of paper towels. I mean, meaningless things. I had a booklet of car washes, and I had a real treasure. I had the outside bag from a Crown Royal bottle. I love that bag, you know, and I put my change in it, and I'd set it right there beside my seat in my car. And you need to know I live in the country, so people don't, you know, I don't live next door to somebody. So there's nobody wandering the property. These things are just gone. And
well, now you said something that we want to focus on. You said meaningless things.
okay, thank you. Yeah.
So if they're meaningless, isn't it just as well that they go away?
Well, that's where I came to after I was dealing with what was going on. Now, this is in the presence of other people.
But you see, you're the perfect person for us to have this conversation with, because you're so manifestation oriented. Here we are wanting to build bridges to help you to understand that there's this vortex. It must seem odd to those of you who are trying to explain it to your family and friends. Yeah, there's this man who calls his wife Abraham, and she must be a schizophrenic, because she refers to herself as we, and she makes this big circle on the floor and calls it a vortex and insists that everything we want is in it. But we do this because we are wanting to help you to bridge into this vibrational world that you really are more of a part of than you recognize. Your physical, tangible, manifestational world has made you misunderstand what's really going on. So when you begin to acknowledge that you are vibration and you begin to experience the leverage of true vibration, then things of a usual manifestational nature the lines begin to blur, and you begin to accept more that you are a creator who is unlimited. You just have to look at things like earning power and notice the huge difference in the earning power from action and the earning power from alignment with vibration. In other words, you look into the economics of your world, even into your stock market world, even to the intangibles, and so many people don't understand them. And we say, it's time for you to accept the intangibles in your physical world and acknowledge that you are vibrational beings who are lining up with the feeling of the intangibles. Because when you line up with the feeling of the intangibles, which means you take the manifestation out of the equation, now you're free, now you're unlimited. And it's our promise to you. The manifestation, the tangibles, will show themselves to you. They will demonstrate to you where you're at.
I attribute where I'm at to focusing on the journey, not on the manifestation. The manifestation's fun.
Well, those are very good words, but not implied fully in the rhetoric that you offered to us before you made that statement. In other words, those are words that you are offering, but is it really what you believe?
Well, and that is what I'm wondering about. These little events are, to me, an anomaly.
And that's our point. When they become normal, then you will be the creator you were born to be.
You mean the going away of things?
we mean when you accept that you are a vibrational being and that it is your focusing of things into being. You used some words. You said, I get distracted. I'm not holding things in focus. And that's the whole point of this conversation. You have to hold something in focus and practice the vibration of something in focus long enough for it to come into your reality. And when things start disappearing from your reality, it means that they are diffused from your focus. Now, we know this feels out there, but because you live in a world where suddenly if everything on this table disappeared, we would make headlines, wouldn't we? unless there was a tremendous sleight of hand going on. But it's the focusing of things. Every word that we have offered from this platform here today is about focusing yourself into alignment with what's in your vortex. And sometimes what happens as we visit with our physical friends is that you have one foot in this vortexual world, you have this one foot in this inner world, you conceptually get it, you accept that there is vibration going on, and you're beginning to acknowledge that your emotions play a big part in your acknowledgement of it. But most people, while they have one toe in this vibrational world, they have the other foot firmly planted in the world of reality. And that really is what is holding you back, because it's the taking score of what is and the incessant vibrational attachment to what is that prevents or disallows the movement into more. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, these are the comments that we would begin making to ourselves. We would say, I must be moving into an understanding of vibration, because the physical world that I've always seen as stable and structured and material and reality is beginning to shift for me just a little bit. I'm beginning to notice that my attention to subjects is having an effect on how close they stay into my experience. All of you have this experience. You walk into a room, you have something in your hand, and suddenly you don't know where you put it. Esther just loves it when she's in a room by herself, because if she's not in a room by herself, Jerry gets the blame for everything that she can't find. Did you take my phone? Do you have my keys? Do you know where my purse is? In other words,
where's my wallet, Jerry? I knew there was somebody.
But when you know you were the only one that is there, then you acknowledge that there is something going on, and we want to take it beyond an understanding that in an unconscious moment you just moved it somewhere and put it somewhere. We want to take it beyond that. We want you to accept that the universe is constantly moving things into being, and in the same way that this Earth is now spinning in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets, we want you to understand that you have the ability to focus things into being too. And if you don't get too deliberately hung up on the specifics of how it is coming about, all kinds of amazing things will begin to happen in your experience.
What I concluded ultimately, obviously you have the upsettedness of something being gone and you can't explain it, and you're the only one there, like you say. And
but what are 10 good things about that? What are 10 good things?
10 good things. Well, I have one good thing. Maybe not 10, but what I concluded was the loss of those things, which it appeared to be something.
Well, now you're getting too carried. You're not answering the question, and you're not receiving the benefit of the question. Because you're speculating too much, and then you're getting all bogged down in the muck and mire of wondering about where it went. 10 good things about my physical world beginning to demanifest around me is that, one, I am beginning to acknowledge that I'm a conscious, deliberate creator. Another thing is that I'm beginning to recognize that the laws of the universe are more powerful than anything that I have understood before. Next, I'm beginning to understand the benefit of the power of my focus. And if I can detach my attention to something, if there are physical things that are actually beginning to remove themselves from my experience, then certainly I can leave behind habits that I don't want, or relationships that I don't want, or thoughts that are full of resistance that I don't want. It's my lack of attention to them that is causing them to begin to fade away. I'm beginning to believe, we're speaking from your point of view, again looking for these 10 good things, I'm beginning to understand that everything comes into structure and focus because of attention to it. And I'm beginning to discover the power of my own mind. And these are just the first steps in beginning to understand this. Focus is everything. Vibration is everything, you see. Scientists have held themselves back from the beginning of their first scientific experiment because they feel it necessary to document the what-isness to the point that they don't make the jump to the next what could be. In other words, they are so tenacious about documenting what is that they don't allow the possibilities of what they would really prefer. Where if they could let go of that, what they prefer would come into being, and then they could examine it and explain after the fact how it got there, you see. And that's really what this conversation is about.
Yes, exactly. I concluded that all these things were a manifestation of my abundance. In other words, not caring about them, disregarding them, just moving forward in
Well, you keep wanting to bring the topic back to abundance because lack of cash flow or lack of abundance is what is stuck in your vibrational craw. And so it's sort of there, is sort of radiating all around there. And what the universe is trying to say to you is, we'd like to distract you with this and distract you with this and distract you with this. We'd like you to understand that the rules of the game that you've been defining as the accurate rules of the game aren't the accurate rules of the game at all. We would like to start helping you to defy the logic that you have concluded to understand that there's a much bigger picture going on. That's what's happening here.
That's really
and so as we explain this to you, then you keep going back and explaining it again through the cash thing, you see. Your vortex is pregnant with a fortune, you see. It is. We're not just trying to impress you by giving you information that you want to hear. We never speak that which is not. It is pregnant with the abundance that you are seeking. You just have to relax and accept that it's there and watch for the evidence of it in new ways. In other words, the fairies of the universe, your inner being, are saying to you, it's not what you think, it's not what you think, it's not what you think, it's not what you think. And then you say, well, I've concluded. And then you have another experience. It's not what you think, it's not how you've been looking at it, it's not that way. And you say, well, then I've concluded this. And we say, stop concluding so much. Stop concluding. Stop trying to accurately define it all. Start saying, hey, it's open-ended. I really don't know what's possible. I'm beginning to accept that all things are possible. I hear that my vortex is pregnant with all kinds of wonderful experiences for me and all kinds of manifestational abundance for me. I hear that. I'm open to the universe yielding it to me in whatever quirky, unquirky, normal, not normal. I am willing for it to flow to me in whatever way it can. I'm open, and I'm now understanding that things have never been as I have thought they are, and I'm open to discover how things really are.
I get it. That's the best. I'll go. But I hope that pregnancy doesn't turn into a teenager, you know?
You're more trouble than you're worth. Of course, that is never true, and we would never say it to someone who didn't know otherwise. Now what? Yes. Creation is really about perception, and perception is about vibration, and vibration is about attraction. So what you perceive really is the reality that you are living. But you will have the ability to alter your perception much more quickly and much more fantastically than you've been giving yourself credit. You've been holding so closely to the manifested reality that you have created limited experiences.
Give me 45 seconds and I'll show you how this kid managed to manifest $1 million business by 19 years old, get into the Tucumma Club, find the love of his life, and travel the world and create a life he loves. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually simple. That kid is me, and at 11 years old, I saw The Secret. And I learned a lot, but frankly, I was still struggling with the law of attraction until I discovered the real secret behind The Secret. And that's when the big things happened. I dramatically grew my business, met this beautiful, beautiful lady, and much, much more. And it wasn't just me. I started to share this with my students, my clients, and Sylvia manifested $5,000 in a single day, and then a bunch of other people managed to create 6-7-figure businesses. Yes, even become millionaires. Now, I only have 45 seconds in this video, so I can't share everything here. So that's why I'm hosting a free live stream where I cover everything in detail you need to know on how to manifest anything you want, even if you don't believe you can. So if you want to join, if you're on mobile, you should be able to tap on a link on the upper right-hand corner. On desktop, it's in the lower left corner, so just click over there. You can join the stream free of charge. Now, when you go to the page, this is how it's going to look like, or something like that. So just click the green button, and you'll be able to reserve your seat either today or tomorrow. That's right. Now, look, I don't come from rich parents or a rich family. It's not luck, and I'm really, frankly, nothing special. I'm just an average kid who didn't even speak English from Central Europe. All I did is stumble upon the real secret behind the secret, which I'll give you a little hint. It's about changing your identity. And I want to share it with you so that you can too manifest anything you want, even if you don't believe you can. So be sure to join the free live stream right now. That's how the page is going to look like. Just click yes, reserve my seat, and you'll be able to join. It's 100% free. Now the stream is happening today and tomorrow only. So if you want to take advantage of it, do it right now.
I can't really believe that so many people are still working the old way, selling time to a boss every day to get a salary in return, helping to build someone else's dream. And let's face it, when you get back home in the evening, there is almost no time and energy left to do the things that you really want to do. And over time, people become unhappy with their lives, and they begin to regret they did nothing about it at the right time. Thankfully though, there are much better ways to earn an income which are available online. I still remember the day that I actually realised this myself. I had a good job, I had a good salary, but I was never really excited about what I was doing. Some mornings I would dread going into work, and I used to hate being stuck in rush hour traffic every day. And I remember thinking, is this really it? Is this really what I need to do now for the next 30 or so years? So I went home that evening, and I was determined to find another way that I could earn an income online. So I started scrolling through YouTube, watching videos on self-improvement, Tony Robbins, personal development, and even learning how to sell on Amazon. I then happened to see a video from a guy in Germany named Valerie, and he'd managed to create his own online business with his website selling products for him 24/7. He was able to leave his job and enjoy a totally new lifestyle, which was exactly what I wanted to do. So I decided to contact him and basically asked the question, how did you achieve this? And he actually responded, which I was very surprised about, and he said he wanted to share his knowledge to help me do it for myself. He sent me a video series which shows exactly how to start up an online business from scratch with his mentor, a guy named Stuart Ross. Now, I have to admit, I was very sceptical because nowadays there are so many scams on the internet, and at the time I didn't really trust anything online. But I still decided to at least watch the videos, and honestly I'm so glad that I did, because these videos show me exactly how to create my own online business, how to source products, but the one thing that amazed me the most was it showed me how many people are actually working for themselves and earning an income with just their laptop. It showed me this completely new digital world that I never knew existed, so I followed every step in the video series that Valerie sent to me, and it's completely changed my life. Today, I'm at a point in my own journey where I want to do the same for others. So if you're watching this video and you want to learn how to start up your own online business from scratch, I'm more than happy to send you the same video series that Valerie sent to me for free, as this is how I received it. So if you click on the link on this video, it will take you to my website. If you fill in your name and your email, that's all I require, and I will send the videos directly to your inbox. If you're someone who's open to learning new things, who wants more time, freedom, a secondary income, or even a primary income from working for yourself, then I strongly recommend you to click on the link and to have a look at the videos yourself. I was in the same situation as you, and I remember thinking, this all just
cruise, you talked about Source doesn't see, doesn't have taste, touch, smell, or sight. It feels. And that was really a mind-blowing thing for me because I always felt like people were watching me, and I never understood that they were really only feeling me. And it actually was a really cool moment because I realized for the first time that...
Before you go further, we want to stick something in because it might change the direction of your question, your really good question. We just want to throw this in for you. We have said that, we do say that, and we do mean that. It is how it is. That it is your physical apparatus that has the translators of the vibration that gives you taste and touch and sight and sound and so forth. So without that physical apparatus, then those experiences are different from non-physical. But the satisfaction that you feel when you taste something that you like is felt by us.
Yes, that's the part I got for the first time.
So you could say that if it tastes good to you, it tastes even better to us. But it's not because of what's going on in the tongue. It's a vibrational satisfaction that is deeper and richer than anything that your physical senses give you.
Yeah, for the first time I realized it doesn't matter what we do, it matters how we feel about what we do. That's how that came together for me for the first time.
And now, when you get out ahead of it by segment intending before you get there, can you understand the exponential ramifications of that? When you get some momentum going before you even get into that segment, when you get yourself tuned in and in the state of satisfaction before you meet up with that segment, we want to introduce this. We haven't talked about it here, and then we want to hear you completely. It applies completely to where you're going. As we said earlier, we've been talking about segment intending right from the beginning with Jerry and Esther. And Esther had an impression that what segment intending meant was, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to intend safety to the next place. And I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to intend open traffic, things like that, which we were in agreement with. That wasn't something that we weren't encouraging her to think. But her impression still was, I'm going to hook into the source energy and then I'm going to blast it into my future segment and I'm going to get it ready for me. I'm going to change it so that when I get there, I'll like it. And not only will it change for me, it'll change for anybody else that goes anywhere I go. I'm fixing that segment. You all come along. I've cleared the way. That's kind of the way Esther was looking at it. Now she understands that what she's doing as she's segment intending, she's identifying and isolating and calibrating to this vibration of utter well-being. And sometimes she calls it clarity and love and fun. So she's accomplishing that in her being. And then she's walking that being into a segment where she will attract those things from that segment. She's not changing the segment, she's changed herself because it's attraction, attraction, attraction. So ornery people aren't going to come to her, and people that are reckless drivers aren't going to come to her. What's a vibrational match to what she has identified? And like our friend helped us to clarify earlier, she doesn't just believe it, she knows it. She knows it. She's done it, she knows it, she feels it, she goes, and this segment is so sweet to her, and this segment is so sweet to her, and this segment is so rich. You see what we're getting at? And so?
So for that first time, I realized that the action isn't the important part, it's the feeling. And then you talked about, don't do anything that you don't think is appropriate. And I thought, oh, that seems judgmental, but then I realized, again, it's not a matter of whether somebody else thinks it's appropriate. The appropriateness of it is only important because it is how you feel about it. Again.
Yeah, you'll split your energy. Here's the statement that's a really easy one to get hold of that is so easy to apply. Make a decision and line up with it. Make a decision and line up with it. Today we would say make a decision and segment intend it into place. Make a decision and then don't talk smack about it. Make a decision and line up with it. So there's a family reunion and you don't really want to go, but you feel like you should because your mother's going to be really mad at you if you don't show up. Make a decision and line up with it. So if you decide you're going to go, doesn't matter if you go or don't go, but if you decide to go, then make a list of all the reasons you're going. Don't go to please someone else. Satisfaction comes from one place and one place only. Making a decision and lining up with it and moving in the direction of that decision. So don't do something because somebody else wants you to do it. You're just going through the motions and offering lip service, and it won't be fun for them either, or for you. But if you say, I'm going, and I'm going to like going, and I'm going to think about it until I find that vibrational resonance with it, and then you've lined up with it, now you're taking yourself into this environment, a new you, into this environment where you're going to have a whole series of experiences like you've never had before. It's going to be a very unusual family reunion because they are going to find a person that they have not met before. And they're not going to be able to talk you back into your insecurities that you had since you got stuck in that little chair when you were 4 or whatever.
When you think about in the context of what we're just talking about, can you, from a vibrational standpoint, talk about the word responsibility? Because that's a conflicting word for me when I think about doing what I want to do sometimes. I just would like to hear you talk about responsibility.
Let's look more to its roots. Let's start with the idea of response. Response first. And then let's talk about the law of attraction. And then let's talk about connection and how in sync you are with your inner being. We've been talking about, so you decide to meditate and you quiet your mind. And if you quiet your mind, you stop thought. And if you stop thought, you stop resistant thought. And if you stop resistant thought, your vibration rises. And when your vibration rises, now you're in sync with source energy and your inner being. And now things will begin occurring to you. Thoughts will occur to you. Impulses will come to you.
So is it responsible to do that, or is it responsible to not just do
Wait
that?
just 1 second. You're being responsive to your vibration. So rather than responsibility for just a little bit, we want to talk about what I'm responsive to. And what I'm responsive to in my human form is the vibration that I'm most matched to. If I've practiced my alignment with my inner being, then I'm most responsive to what my inner being knows. If I've been watching television and complaining about this and that and this and that, or if I'm in the middle of an uncomfortable relationship at work or at home or whatever, then that might be what's active in me, and I'm responsive to that. Our friend was talking about his father, who's responsive to all kinds of things because of the thoughts he's been thinking and the life that he's been living. So now you want to take that responsiveness, which we want to call a law of attraction thing, and you want to make yourself responsible. So if you're going to be responsible, then you've got to be responsible to how you've tended to your vibration. We would call it your responsibility to feel good. You really owe it to yourself to feel good, because when you feel good, then good things come to you, and when you feel mad, they don't. And if you want to call it responsibility, that's just fine. But the reason it's tripping you up is because there are so many people around you who have not actively known about the law of attraction. They've not been thinking about inner being. They will say things like, let your conscience be your guide, or they will say things like, follow your gut instinct and things like that. People have been dabbling in this. All kinds of people have had connection and inspiration, and they get that. This is not the first conversation about any of this. But most people are living life by default, and most people are just responding to what they're giving their attention to. And so then there are those who decide they're going to lead someone, lead a child, or even lead a mate, or lead a group of people who are working for you, or lead a team. And their attitude about leadership often is by pointing out to you the things that will go wrong if you don't do this, and if you don't do this. If you don't do this, you're going to get fired, and if you don't do this, you're not going to amount to anything, and if you don't do this. And so most people have been pushing hard against what they don't want, and then disallowing what they do want, and so their idea of what comes to them is all disturbed. It's all distorted, because even in religion they will say to you, if you keep these rules and you do these things and you don't do these things, then you will be rewarded. And then logical people keep those rules and don't feel all that rewarded. And then they see others around them not keeping the rules who seem to be thriving. And they say, What's going on? And then people say to them, oh, well, you can't tell while you're still here on earth. The reward comes after you die. And we are here to tell you, your guidance system is giving it to you now. What's happening in non-physical is what's happening here. When you don't feel good, you've pinched yourself off from it. And there isn't a reward. Your rewards are happening here. It's what alignment is. It's the emotion that you feel in any moment is what you're reaching for, you see. So, getting back to the point that you were sort of kind of making is that people who want something from you will convince you that there's this set of rules that you need to follow. And rarely does that set of rules include do your best to feel good as much as you can. Usually the rule is, I'm going to need your sacrifice and your commitment, and I'm going to need you to do these things, and you need to put this first no matter what.
I don't think it's other people doing it to me. I think it's me doing it to myself. I think,
Well, we think so too at this point, but we don't think you learned it from nobody.
yeah, that's a good point. But I'm the one doing it, just to be clear.
But it's such a wonderful thing when you now know that, if you just leave here with this one understanding. We like that word, understanding. What's standing under? What's the basis beneath what you know? So if you just leave here with this one understanding, that your inner being is you, and your inner being is the non-diluted, non-resistant version of you, and that your inner being is even what you want to call future because it hasn't manifested yet, but we want to call presence because it is a vibrational reality version of you, and that your inner being has a point of attraction, and so do you, and that your emotions equal that resonance or lack of it, that harmony or discord, that allowance or disallowance. And so when you feel negative emotion, Esther stops often, and when she's feeling some negative emotion about something, and she acknowledges, you guys don't feel this way about that, do you? And I know why. Thanks for reminding me. Her emotions remind her all day, every day. That's what they're for. It's guidance.
I said to my wife, I said, sometimes I let it get so bad it feels like mental illness, but I came up with a new word for it. I called it mental willness because of the stuff I'm sometimes willing to put up with. And that's that moment where you just stopped it is really important.
And if you don't stop it, it's all right. It'll get bigger, but then something will distract you. Because at this point in what you've got going on, once you know these things, once you acknowledge that you are an extension of source energy, do you know that? And once you acknowledge that that source energy part of you is vividly aware and active in your life experience, do you know that? And once you understand that the things that you've asked for, your inner being is aware of and is attracting on your behalf, do you know that? Is attracting on your behalf. Then there's only one question to ask yourself. Am I a cooperative component right now? And if you got negative emotion going on, the answer is no, not right now. It doesn't mean no, not ever. No, not right now. Not while I feel like this. And if you're frisky and feeling full of fun and you're loving life, then you're letting it in, you're letting it in, and you're letting it in. And before you know it, you start really noticing the difference. You can feel when you're in the flow and when you're not. And the most important thing that your inner beings want us to convey to you is that when you're not in the flow, it's okay. Because your negative emotion about yourself could only exist because your inner being isn't having any negative emotion about you. If your inner being were as mad at you as you are, you wouldn't feel mad. Doesn't that make sense? It's the fact that your inner being knows that all is well and you don't that makes you feel bad. It's that your inner being knows that you are wonderful and you don't that makes you feel bad. It sort of makes you appreciate that discord, doesn't it? Ooh, my inner being must really love me because I'm feeling real bad right now.
If you give me 5 seconds, I'll show you how this kid managed to manifest $1 million business by 19 as a
I didn't want to come here. Somebody invited.
If you give me 5 seconds, I'll show you how this kid managed to manifest $1 million business by 19 as a teenage high school.
We're wanting you to understand of all the things that you've heard us talking about here today, what would improve your life or anybody else's more than all other things put together?
If I was happy.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so, as you get ahead of yourself so what most people are doing is saying, oh yes, I would like to do that because that would make me happy, and I would like to do that because that would make me happy, and I would like to do that because that would make me happy, and that would make me happy because it's lots of fun people, and that would make me happy because it's got lots of money coming with it, and that would make me happy because I get to live in a beautiful part of the world. And we say conditional, conditional, conditional. What we want you to do is think about, and this is what we want you to hear, is what we've been after all day, is that as you can find right here, right now, current, something that feels happy when you think about it, no matter where you're getting it from, and you stay there until the conditions or the situations or the people or the ideas that match happy begin to occur to you. You see what we're getting at? It's flipping the whole thing. It's doing it, it's counterintuitive to what you've been practicing. Because what you've been practicing says, I'll find the condition that I believe will make me happy, and then I'll find a route to that condition that makes me happy. And we say, but you got to understand that you're the point of attraction to which all things are flowing. So if you can find something, anything to think about or observe or live that makes you happy, and you can maintain that for a little while, other things that make you happy will flow into your experience, and they will be in the form of the work that you want, the money you want. And why is that? Because all of those components are in your vortex. You didn't only just put happy in your vortex, you put lots of money in there too. You put lots of freedom. You put the ability to be or do and have anything that you want. You put the ability to make your own decisions. You put the ability to set your own time. You put the ability to set up your own calendar. You put the ability to really be free. You put the ability to make a difference in people's lives. You put the ability to have other people that resonate with you flow to you. In other words, you put that and more than we have time to talk about in your vortex, and it's already all in there. And what's the access key for you? How do you spend that vibrational currency? By trying to find some condition that you can make yourself believe that you can line up with, or by just finding the core of the reason that you want all of those things and practice it as much as you can until you own it, and then follow the inspiration to that desire, which is to be happy, that will, we promise you, fill in. Does that make sense to you?
I'm a little blown away.
In some cases, it...
I was happy.
Yeah. You think you're blown away now. As the ideas flow and you feel the perfection of them. And then you see the ease with which
That's
they are.
what I'm seeking.
But in the seeking of it, you're looking for something that is not, and you introduce resistance into the equation.
How? Where did I do that?
By saying, I'm looking for this thing that I haven't found yet. And so what we're really asking you is, can you be happy? Do you have the ability to be happy before the idea flows?
Yes.
Because if you have the ability to be happy before the idea flows, the idea will flow for sure. Do you have the ability to be happy before the money gets there? Because if you have the ability to be happy before the money gets there, the money will get there before. Following? So, we know you want to say to us, but Abraham, it's easier to focus on the condition. And we say, how's that working out? It's not easier to focus on the condition. Conditions are loaded. They're loaded with the way everybody else feels about them. They're loaded with all your past beliefs about them. Conditions are loaded with expectations. Start in this pure place and create the environment that allows it to grow. And then experience the explosion of good ideas flowing to you. And say regularly, I had a desire and it was general, but boy, is it evolving into something that's more and more specific. And the more specific a general desire that has no resistance becomes, the more exhilarating it will be. So, a desire that has a lot of momentum and no resistance is ecstasy. A desire that has a lot of momentum and a lot of resistance is miserable. A desire that has not much momentum and no resistance is the beginning of every good thing you want. And a conditionally programmed world, so they say, what are you looking for in life? Happy? Oh yeah, what else? That's it. Happy. Fun. Oh yeah, happy and fun, because fun makes me happy. And happy is fun. Yeah, fun and happy. Fun and happy. And fun and happy. Fun and happy. Fun and happy and clarity. Fun and happy and clarity. Because clarity makes me happy, and clarity is fun. Fun and happy and clarity. And power. Because fun is happy, and happy is fun, and clarity is power. And, fun and happy and clarity and rich. And rich. And rich. And healthy. In other words, once you're there in a stable way, you can add anything and everything else to the list, and it will show itself to you in full measure. But you got to start from the basics, and you got to give up the conditional approach to life that you have been practicing, because the conditional approach is introducing resistance into your experience that is unnecessary.
I'm gonna have to download this.
Our ploy is working.
I have one more thing that is completely separate, but how can I tap into Abraham and this message that comes through you?
Get happy. Get happy.
Yeah. I want it.
Well, you're clearly on the trail of it. Your desire is clear, and your allowing was strong enough to get you in the chair. And so in this moment, in this current moment, the resistance is non-existent. And so it's seeking this state of being, it's seeking this feeling. Really what it amounts to is not making such a big deal out of things, and not trying so hard to justify, and sort of taking everyone else out of the equation, and just developing a relationship between you and your source, and letting that be the primary thing that you're reaching. And to understand that the source within you is happy, and that when you feel happy, that alignment is happening. And when you're yearning for something, that's different. Yearning is different than happy. Yearning is an active vibration in opposition to what I'm reaching for. So it's not trying so hard. It's being easier about it. It's looking for the evidence of it that's all around you all the time. It's acknowledging when you are in alignment, and reveling in that alignment, and talking about that alignment when you are there, and keeping the momentum of that alignment going longer, and consciously acknowledging that it is happening, and staying there until you're fully appreciated, and until you just feel obnoxiously invincible. In other words, when you tune into this and practice it and allow it and own it, and can get there easily and start there every morning, and get further and further into your day with it, then all of it, the easier it gets, the easier it gets. Because at first it's a little awkward, but you get better and better at it. And the better you get at it, the more evidence it flows. And the more evidence it flows, the easier it is to be good at it. Until then it becomes the condition coming in response to the vibration, rather than trying to get the vibration to come in response to the condition. That's really what we're wanting you to understand. It's getting the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart. And so, of all of the things in the world that you can think of, if someone were to walk up to you and say, what do you seek most in life? Your answer is
Joy, happy.
And if you wanted to add more momentum to that, what other words would you say? If this person were saying to you, and what does that joyful happiness mean to you? Flesh it having
everything.
fun, meaning engaging with lots of others. And,
Laughter,
and
humor.
but feel how when you said having direction, there was a little yearning in that. So what you want to say is knowing direction, feeling my way, feeling the inspiration, getting the impulse, being alive to the impulse, following my bliss, feeling it, being moved from the inside. Recognizing that when I feel like this, I'm on the brink of something good, and then when that something good comes, saying, I knew you were coming. I just didn't know in what way you would manifest, but I felt you coming. Those kinds of things. These are the kind of conversations that you want to have with me. I knew you were coming. I could feel you coming. I woke up excited about you coming. Jerry and Esther were in this neighborhood a few years ago, and they were on their way to what they considered to be their favorite restaurant in the area, and driving down the freeway, and all of a sudden Jerry said, let's go to this restaurant instead, and Esther was driving. All of a sudden she needed to exit like now, and so she took the exit and then asked questions later, which was the agreement that they always had with one another. All right, I've done it. Now why? I don't know. I just feel like we should go. I just feel like I'd like to eat here. But they have that great salad we like over there. And there's only 5 places in the whole world that we can get that salad. And I know, but I just feel like this is where we want to go. And so they went in, and the place was empty, which Esther never sees as a very good sign. And hardly anybody around. And a very nice person came up and helped them and talked to them briefly. And Jerry was always wanting to know people. He wanted to know who she was and where she was from and just a little bit about her. And then Jerry reached into Esther's purse where there was the envelope where even though they beg you not to buy anything with cash, you always do. So there's always an envelope with a considered amount of money in it left at the end of the seminar, and it was in Esther's purse. And Jerry just reached for it and just handed it to the girl and said, this is for you. And she said, well, thank you very much. And she went into the kitchen, and they literally heard dishes break as the little girl had opened her package to see what was in it. And she came back in to where they were, and she said to them, you know, I woke up this morning, and the first thought I had was something really, really good is going to happen to me today. Something really good is going to happen to me today. And Esther said, well, apparently Jerry was part of that process, because I wanted to go over there and he wanted to come over here. And then she said, my roommate moved out this week unexpectedly, and my rent is due tomorrow, and I did not know how I was going to pay it. And Jerry said, if you had told us that story first, we wouldn't have given this to you. Because the more she tried to justify the gift that she had received, the more her energy became contradicted from the purity that it was when she had awakened that morning and said, something really good is going to come to me today. And so you are in co-creative harmony with people all over the planet. And there are people who are ready for you, and you are ready for them. And when you are deliberately readying yourself, doing it on purpose, and then you are wise enough to follow the feeling of that, before you know it, you're just rendezvousing. Esther loves playing with her little kids, her little grandchildren, because they know something that most of the big people that Esther plays with have forgotten. They know that it's always supposed to be fun. Not just a little fun now, and then not fun, and then a little more fun, and then not fun. Always fun. Always fun, no matter what. Always fun. Fun, and then more fun, and then more fun, and then more fun, and then some more fun, and then more fun, and then more fun, and then some more fun, and then more fun, and then more fun. And sometimes it's fun to even think about the fun that we're going to have while we're having the fun that we're having right now. There's no point to ever get into a fun lag. There's no reason to ever get into a fun lag, because they are young enough to still see that the universe will continue to deliver to them one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. But if you've been living some conditional life, not fun, and this a little more fun, and this not fun, and this not fun, and this a little more fun. You're having a sort of jerky ride. It's supposed to be fun, clarity, fun, fulfillment, fun, satisfaction, fun, interesting, fun. Good feeling. Good enough?
I love winning. Don't you? I also love an advantage. A little something that gives me a head start.
Hi, Abraham. I'd like to talk today about my physical body.
Yeah.
And my heart's beating really quickly. What I understand is that
It's really good to start with what you understand. That's really good. Understand is a good word, isn't it? What's under where I'm standing, the basis, really good. Yeah.
What I understand is that I've healed myself.
Yeah.
And my physical body is catching up
Good.
with that reality.
Good words and accurate.
Thank you. And my question is, what am I unaware of in my... What am I resistant to? There's some resistance.
But this is the same thing that we've been talking about. Isn't this a good thing to have today? It's letting go of that human tendency of finding out what's wrong so I can stop doing it. But when you're looking for the thing that you think is wrong, you're still doing it.
Got it.
So you're holding yourself in that place. And what does that mean? What does it indicate? It indicates that I don't really trust the vortex, and I don't really trust my inner being, and most of all, I don't trust myself to line up with that. But you can.
And I do.
So what you're saying, we're just going to put some other human words around it. I have this evidence that isn't what I want, and how do I make this evidence that I don't want go away?
Yeah.
And we say, first of all, it's got to stop being evidence, which means it's got to stop being something that you focus upon, and that's easier in some cases than others, isn't it? But it's always the same thing. What you give your attention to becomes more, and what you give your attention to less becomes less. It's the law. Then you want to scream at us, and we don't blame you. Well, when something is right there, how can you not notice it? And we say, by noticing other things more. It's kind of the conversation we just had with our friend. And you've been trained to be so objective to weigh the pros and the cons. And humans have been trained by each other. You're not doing each other any favor to believe that you've got to take the whole of everything. Let's just consider it all, and then let's just decide the parts we're going to keep and the parts we're not going to keep. And we say, every time you point at a part that you're not going to keep, you keep it. So it's not taking the whole and deciding, I'll keep that, and I won't keep that, and I'll keep that, and I won't keep that, because that's saying, I'll keep it all, I'll keep it all, I'll keep it all. But when you say, I like that, ooh, I love that, I take pleasure from that, I feel secure in that, ooh, I love the well-being of that, I love the feeling of that, now you're choosing the parts you like. And in a little while, you can calibrate your vibration only to that. It's like your radio signals in your vehicles or in your equipment. They're calibrated to frequencies so that they take what they're calibrated to and everything else isn't there. And that's a good thing, or you'd be listening to all of XM radio at once. What would that be like? And you say, oh, wait, I'll tune that out, and I'll tune that out, and I'll tune... That's really going about it the hard way. The calibration is taking place at a vibrational level.
Understood. I take great pleasure in life and what I get to do on a daily basis. And
You know, we like what you're going to say, but let's say something more potent and more powerful right now. All day we've been talking about calibration, so let's just get down to it, how to do it. And we talked about segment intending, and that's the best way of calibrating that we know. Let's say that you've got a notebook in your lap and a pen in your hand, and you're preparing yourself for a segment. So what is a common segment? A new segment is when you're going to go into a different room maybe, or you're going to be with different people maybe. You're going to do something different. In other words, a segment is any time things change. And now you're identifying how you want to feel and be, what you want your point of attraction to be when you're in that segment. So what's a common segment that you might be walking into every day?
My work.
All right, so you're going to go to work, and are you the only one there, or are there others?
It's myself, yes.
Do you interact with any other people, or is it just you and you and you and you?
I interact with my clients over the phone.
So it's not just you, it's you and them. So there are some things to consider about that. But not really very important things to consider, because it's not about that so much as is it about who you are walking into it. So what segment intending is, it's writing, because writing is a strong point of focus, writing statements that activate within you feelings of well-being, whether you call it fun or security or love or interest. You want to use feeling words. I like the feeling of this, or I savor this. So what kind of things might you say in order to isolate a vibration within yourself before you go to work?
That I have the honor of leading others. And
all right, now that's kind of jumping further forward than we would encourage, but maybe that's the easiest place for you to start. What is it that is the easiest for you to feel blessed about or good about?
yeah, so that's really simple for me. Then it's just thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
I feel thankful.
Yes.
I feel thankful
Yes.
for, and then if you're sure you're thankful,
Yes.
and you're sure it's not about the son that you haven't talked to in 10 years, if you're sure you're thankful,
Yes.
then flesh it out a little bit. I'm thankful for, and let the emotion and the energy run through you as you are writing the words briefly on the page. I'm thankful for, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for the opportunities to use my voice.
All right, so opportunity sounds like future.
Okay.
I'm thankful for how I feel right now.
Got it.
I'm thankful for who I am.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for who I be. I'm thankful that this is my point of attraction. I'm thankful that my inner being is aware of me. I'm thankful that I know this stuff. I feel happy. There's nothing that I would rather do. This is the thing that I love the most of all. This is such a delicious life that I'm living. Can you feel what's going on? I really, 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 Esther writes lots of reallys on her page. I really, 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 really like this. I like this delicious knowing. I'm excited about what's going to unfold. I'm excited about the possibilities and the potentials. I love the feeling of connection and intuition and intuitiveness. I love the feeling of receiving and alignment. I so adore the trust they have in me. I like the feeling of right place, right time. You see what's going on? You see what you're doing? You're calibrating yourself to the whole of who you are. And then that you is walking into that environment, and then that you is attracting from that environment. That is segment intending.
Yeah. Got it.
And so, you're right, that is the easiest. So now, pick another segment that you might walk into. Even one that's not as easy as that one, because you're really, really good at that one. We got all of that from you. That was really easy. So
Yeah.
pick another segment where you're wanting to calibrate. You want to calibrate, and you feel the necessity of calibrating. In other words, you're going to calibrate because you're going to do this, so you might as well line up before you walk into it, something
Yeah.
like that.
So the way that I language it is my healing, and I understand there's contrast in that, because what I know is that I've healed myself, and I'm doing work. I'm in treatments to help my body resolve the situation.
All right, so give us an example of a segment that's about to happen.
Yeah, so I walk into a place called Xenogenesis and get resonant frequency.
I'm going to
Yeah.
walk into this place. But before you do, you're going to do some segment intending. So you've got your notebook, and so you're going to activate something that's easy and calibrate to it. I like being in my human body. I like knowing that I'm an extension of source energy. I love knowing about the intelligence of my cells. I love my cells. I so love my cells. I adore the cells that make up me and that make me up. I love the cells. I love my cells. I love their responsiveness. I love their flexibility. I love their intelligence. I love their relationship with source energy. I love what they know. I love what they know that I know that they know, and I love what they know that I don't yet know that they know, but I really love my cells. Can you feel the calibration taking place?
Yes, I can.
I love knowing the well-being of my body. I love acknowledging, now you don't want to get into it in any way that causes any challenging, but I love being me. I love what is. I love what's next. I love my life experience. I love the wholeness of all of this. I love being physical. You can be as general or as specific as you're able to be and maintain your feeling of calibration, but you can just feel your well-being come. Do you know that you can do this on behalf of others? You can focus so much on the well-being of some other that you can actually influence their well-being if you really calibrate to that well-being, you see. In fact, it's easier for you to do with others. You do that all day, every day than it is with yourself. And it's only because what is a little more present or dominant in your experience, you see. So let's accomplish that calibration. I like being in my body, and I like my responsive body, and I like knowing that my new asking is accomplishing a different vibrational frequency than anything that I've ever done before. And I love the newness of my expanding being. I love the extending of me into my experience. And I love knowing that things are always working out for me. I love knowing that my inner being knows things that I can't even articulate, but I love that feeling of well-being of knowing that my inner being knows. That's calibration. Do you feel it taking place? And then, under those conditions, that's who you take into that environment. And then that environment is affected by what you know. And the parts about your calibration that help you stick, and the parts that could potentially be there that are not part of your calibration bounce off of you. So you are actually soliciting from the environment in which you are going the components that match the calibration that you accomplished. This is deliberate creation at its very best, you see. There just isn't anything that you can't apply this to. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd calibrate on easy things first. And interesting, some of the things that you think are the easiest aren't. The things that you think the most about are the things that you've practiced wonky calibration about. Because you've been calibrating a lot to things as they are, not as you would like them to be. So we're asking you to uncalibrate beliefs. It's just calibration. And you've calibrated to a lot of things you want, and you've calibrated to a lot of things you don't want, and you just got to know the difference, you see. But when you tune to the frequency of well-being, it is an across-the-board helpful thing. You don't even have to focus on the subject. In fact, sometimes you're better off if you don't. The first conversation we had will solve the second segment. Do you hear that? It's like the pile of sticks that we talk about. So there's this pile of sticks. And every stick, on one end of it is wanted, and on the other end of it is absence of wanted. And you're somewhere on every subject. Every subject, you lean one way or the other. Some of them you lean all the way toward what you want. Some of them you lean all the way toward what you don't want. And you're at different places on different sticks. So here's a pile of sticks. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would pick out the stick that feels the best, and we would think mostly or only about that stick that feels the best, and in doing so, we would calibrate every other stick in the pile. Do you know that? Oh, you thought you had to get every stick out and fix it. A lot of those sticks are unfixable, because when you pick them up, the calibration of it just goes, You've been at it for years. Leave it in the pile. Pick up the stick that feels the best, and it'll take care of the other sticks. That's the easiest way we can explain that, yes?
Yeah, understood. Yes.
So, what is true healing? Calibrating to source. Does the subject of healing have anything, is it relevant? Subject of healing a relationship? Not relevant. Subject of healing my body? Not relevant. Subject of fixing the economy or whatever? Not relevant. Calibrate to well-being, and everything is taken care of. You see how it works?
Yes.
Does it make you feel lazy? Little, because you've sort of given yourself a lot of accolades and rewards for struggle and suffering. We've enjoyed this day a lot. It's fun to play with you. It's fun to feel you. It's fun to feel you calibrating to who you really are. That's just delicious for us. It's delicious for us to know what's in your vortex and to find you moving in the direction of it. We don't want you to just not be bothered by things that are wonky. We want you to be thrilled by the perfection of your life experience and by the power that you have to direct your own life, you see. You're powerful creators. You've come with great intention. And there's not one of you who's in the inappropriate place. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain stubbornly in your vortex.
This is a clear aligner from Smart Direct Club. It takes teeth like these and transforms them into...
I knew it. Okay, hold on one second.